You're listening to Engaging Early Learners. I'm Rachel Glassman, special education teacher and resource creator. This podcast is your go-to for classroom strategies and teaching support that you can actually use. Whether you're on your way to work or heading home, I'm so glad you're here. Let's dive in. Hi everyone, welcome to episode 5. Today we are going to be talking about time-saving teacher systems that actually work. So in the last episode, we talked all about teacher mental health and boundaries and really focusing on protecting your energy and not feeling like you have to constantly be doing more, and how important it is to protect our mental health and set those boundaries. In this episode, we are connecting directly to that, because once you start setting those boundaries, the next question becomes, okay, but how do I actually get everything done in my contract hours, Rachel? You're telling me to, try leaving at contract time once or twice a week, but what does that look like? And if I'm going to build up to the point where I'm leaving at contract time every day, how do I do that? How do I maintain that? Because we all know how much work this job is. We know how ridiculous the expectations are on us. So what does it actually look like in practice if I'm going to set these boundaries and protect my mental health? So let's talk about it. Today we're going to talk about those systems, those teacher systems that are going to give you your time back. So if you constantly feel like you are behind, like there's always something else that you should be doing, and no matter how much time you spend working, it literally never feels like enough. I want you to know this first. It's not because you're doing something wrong. It's not because you're a bad teacher. It's not because you're missing something. It's because we need to try to set up better systems to support our time. Because this job does require way too much of us. We have to give so much of our time, our energy, and it is not realistic. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like the expectations put on us as teachers are realistic. But what can we do? How can we work smarter, not harder? What can we do to protect ourselves so that we do last longer in this profession? My goal is not to leave teaching in the next couple years. I don't want that. But if we continue to become burnt out, teachers will not be able to last and work for as long as they used to be able to. So we need to become better at setting up systems to support our time and our energy. So, as I shared in the last episode, I remember a time where I felt like I could never catch up. And I was totally feeding into that. I was going into work early. I was staying late. I was bringing work home all of the time. I was spending hours and hours prepping, doing lesson plans, working on IEPs, making materials, and trying to make everything absolutely perfect for the kiddos. And I just kept thinking, I just need to be more productive. I need to manage my time better. What am I doing wrong? How am I running out of time? Why are other teachers leaving right now? What am I doing wrong? But the truth was, it was not a time management issue. It was a systems issue. I did not have clear, repeatable systems for how I planned, or how I was grading, or how I was prepping, or how I used my time during the day. So everything took longer than it needed to. So let's break down where your time is actually going and how to start getting that time back, again, to protect your mental health and to protect those boundaries that you are working on creating. So our biggest time drains. There's a few main areas where teachers lose most of their time. And this is in general. So not necessarily for me as a teacher, not necessarily for you specifically. In general, these are the main areas where I feel like teachers lose most of their time. Overgrading. Grading every single assignment, writing detailed feedback on everything is not sustainable. Not everything needs to be graded. And not everything needs written feedback. Our kids are happy with a sticker. They're happy when you tell them good job. Use positive reinforcement. Grading absolutely everything we do in a day. Just pause for a second right now and think about all of the things you do in a day. Grading all of that is so unrealistic and unfair to you. It is not necessary. Something else that we do that sucks up our time is we overcomplicate lessons sometimes. We spend way too much time making things cute or perfect or overly detailed. Your lessons do not need to be brand new and creative every single day to be effective. They need to meet our kids' needs. They need to meet their goals. They need to make our students better and brighter, but they do not need to be these overly creative, complicated lessons. And they do not need to be self-made all of the time. Sometimes it is just easier to go onto TPT and pay $3 for a lesson instead of using up your time and making that yourself. Something else that takes up a lot of our time and a lot of our energy: transitions and lost time during the day. So when your classroom does not have strong systems for transitions and directions or routines, you lose a lot of instructional time, and that ends up turning into more work for you later. So if transitions and classroom systems are hard for you, definitely go back to episodes 1 and 2. And we're going to talk more in other episodes about how to best use our instructional time. But just think about that for a second. How much time are you losing during the day that you're then losing instructional time, and it then ends up turning into more work for you? Think about that. So what should we stop doing? Before we even add anything new, let's talk about what we're going to stop doing or try to stop doing. Again, let's be realistic. I don't think overnight, everything's going to change. Let's be realistic and let's think about some things that we can try to stop doing, because this is where you're going to get your time back the fastest. First of all, stop grading everything. Just stop doing that. Pick one thing tomorrow that you're not going to grade. Or in general, if you could do this, pick one thing in general you're not going to grade that thing anymore. Not every worksheet, not every assignment. Just pick one thing. Be selective. Pick one thing. Also, stop reinventing the wheel. You do not need to completely redo your plans every single year. Look back at things you've used before. Ask your team if they have something that you can use. Go on Teachers Pay Teachers at the millions of free resources they have. Grab something for free and use that. If you want to spend a couple bucks on TPT. Buy something and use it. Stop trying to recreate and reinvent the wheel for every lesson, every unit. Don't do it. Use your resources. Ask for help. I bet you the teacher next door has something you can use. We just don't like to ask. Ask. That is you protecting your mental health and your energy and setting boundaries with your time. And asking for help is really important. Also, stop aiming for perfect. Perfect is what's keeping you at work late, and it does not help you get your time back. Okay, so here are some systems that will save you time. So what to start doing instead of the things we just talked about. Batching. So I use batching in my small business for engaging early learners. I batch. I am sitting here today on a Sunday. It is Easter, and I do not celebrate Easter. So how can I best use my time today while I am at home? I am going to batch a bunch of podcast episodes for you guys. I'm going to sit here and plan them, and then I'm going to hit record a bunch of times until I don't have any more energy in me. Now I will have a couple of episodes in the bank ready to go. That's batching. So how can we batch at school? Batch your planning. So instead of planning day by day and feeling like you're always like just right behind and you're just like only ready for the next day, sit down and plan multiple days. Plan a week if you can. And I know everyone works differently. Everyone plans differently. I can sit here and say that I do this, but this might not work for you. These are just some suggestions. Take what I'm telling you, and even if you get a little bit of advice from it or a little idea, that works for me. So batch your planning. Again, instead of planning day by day, plan for a couple days. Try planning 2 days in advance. Make your slides for the next 2 days. Make your slides for the next week. Try to plan a whole week if you can. Write it out. This keeps you in the same mindset and it saves you so much time. Batching is really great because obviously you get so much done from it. You get so much out of it, but it's also great because you're only focusing on one thing. I have a lot of stuff to do for engaging early learners. I could have sat here today on my day off. I don't have to go celebrate Easter. I could have sat here and I could have done all of the things, right? But then my brain would have been bouncing between all of these different things I have to do. Instead, I set a goal for myself today. I want to sit down and I want to plan a couple of podcast episodes and I want to record them. That's all in one category. It keeps my mind on track. I'm not distracted by other things I have to do or want to do. I'm focusing on one thing. And because of that, I'm doing a really great job getting these podcast episodes pumped out. So then they'll be ready to go. And how happy will I be in a couple hours when I'm done recording and I have a bunch of episodes to share with you guys for the next couple of weeks. So it's the same thing. Sit down and just plan. Maybe plan one subject for a week. Maybe doing a whole day is too much. Plan for math. Plan out math for the next week. Plan out reading for the next week. And only sit down and do that. Don't get distracted. And if you say you're planning for reading, do not start with math. Stick to your plan, focus on one thing, and batch. Batch means doing a bunch of something in one sitting. Number 2, have repeatable lesson structures. So your lessons do not need to look completely different every day. I know when we're in school, learning how to be great teachers, they want us every single lesson to have this exciting hook at the beginning of the lesson and the this and the that. Stop. You're gonna make yourself crazy. Your lessons don't need to look completely different and amazing and perfect each time. When students know the structure of their lesson, it actually runs smoother. And keeping it simple sometimes helps our kiddos. You don't have to think so much when you plan if you have a repeated structure each time and you use simple systems each time. Speaking of that, that's also why sometimes getting something on TPT, if you are able to, I know some schools do not allow it, if you are able to use resources, outside resources, getting a bundle for a unit is so helpful. I know for writing, I use this amazing resource I got on TPT, and every single day it's the same exact format on the slides, and the slides are made for me already. It's the best money I've ever spent. I know every single day going into a writing lesson, it's going to say the objective on the board, then it's an I do, we do, you do lesson format, and it has worked wonders. I've used this same bundle when I taught second grade, when I co-taught in third for a minute, and I used it last year teaching third and fourth ERI, and now I'm using it with my K-2 students. Money well spent. I do not have to think about planning writing ever. As long as I have those copies made that go along with the slides, and by the way, the worksheets are already done for me, I just have to print them. Once I have those copies made, which also, by the way, I print them all in advance of the unit, so they are just stacked up and ready to go. I don't have to even think about writing. I do not even have to think about planning it or teaching it. I pull up those slides, I have the worksheets in my pile, and I'm ready to go. Number 3, designate specific times or specific days for specific tasks. This has been really helpful for some of my friends. I know some of my friends that specifically use this technique. Designate specific days for tasks. For example, 1 day for grading, 1 day for prepping, 1 day for planning, instead of trying to do everything every day. How many times do you stay after school, or you come in early, or you have that 40-minute prep period and you have 6 things on your list? And you can't even focus on one because then you start doing the second thing and you're back to, oh my God, I have to do that first thing. But wait, oh, number 5 on my list, I should really do that. What? That's too much. It is too much. If you are finding yourself in that predicament, plan for specific days for specific tasks. You also could do it like this. Before school, I'm going to work on planning because I work best in the morning and I have my best brain on me. Kids aren't here yet. The room's dark. I'm listening to quiet music. I'm going to plan. During my prep every day, I'm going to physically prep. So I'm going to go make copies. I'm going to this, that, the other. After school, I'm going to spend 15 minutes after contract time grading. And when that 15-minute timer that I set on my phone goes off, I'm leaving. Setting up systems like that for ourselves will protect your mental health, will protect those boundaries that you're trying to set, and it will prevent burnout. It also will get more done. I know it sounds weird because you're like separating it and you're going to have like very designated parts of the day where you feel like you're only getting one thing done, but you actually are going to get so much more done because you're focusing on one thing. You're taking that big umbrella of all those things you have to do and you are shrinking it down to one thing at a time. Number 4, use your time during the day intentionally. And I know this is so hard because, believe me, in my ERI classroom, the amount of lunches and preps I do not get sometimes because I am helping my students or, I get pulled for something or there's a meeting, I get it. But try your best to use your time during the school day intentionally. So even small pockets of time, like 10, 15 minutes, can be used to get things done if you have a plan. So if I plan what I'm going to do during my prep time and I happen to get pulled into a 20-minute conversation, I still have 20 minutes of that prep time. And because I already know what I'm doing during my prep time, I can start right away. Instead of rushing back to my classroom after getting pulled for 20 minutes to talk, rushing back to my room and being like, what should I do? By the time I figure it out, the kids are coming back. So have a plan. The mindset shift, okay? This really comes down to shifting how you think about your time. You don't need more hours in a day. You don't. You need systems, teacher systems that make your time more efficient. And you need to let go of the idea that everything has to be perfect and graded and great. Because the goal is not perfection. The goal is sustainability. It's the same as we talked about in last episode. In order to be sustainable as a teacher, as a human, and show up as our best selves, we need to protect our mental health. We need to protect our boundaries. And therefore, we need to protect and create better systems for ourselves as teachers. So if you take anything from this episode, let it be this. You're not behind because you're not doing enough. You're not a bad teacher because you're not doing enough. You are overwhelmed because your time is not being supported by strong systems. Create stronger systems. If this episode was helpful, I would love to know. So please email me, DM me, and please take your time to let me know that this works. Send me a message or tell me how you are using this in your classroom, because not everything I said is applicable to everybody, but I hope you take little bits and pieces and you're able to use this yourself. I hope you all have a fabulous day, and I'll catch you on the next episode.